Hello, fellow Americans. I have been putting off this video for a very long time now, but I'm at the point where I'm just so discouraged at the way everybody's acting. America, in particular, with this Black Lives Matter group, I think their intentions were okay at first. However, it has turned into something that's just a travesty, and at this point they're not even getting their message across. Where should I start with this? Okay, so first of all, I was watching a couple other YouTube channels, and they made a good point. When it comes to Black Lives Matters, exactly what Black Lives Matter? Is it the little 1-year-old boy that just got shot? I heard there was another 3-year-old boy. There was a 12-year-old girl who was just sitting on her couch watching TV and took a bullet to the throat. And nobody is protesting or doing anything about those people. Children, I should say. I can't even imagine how their families feel. I don't even know. I just couldn't even fathom that. What I want to be clear in the very beginning of this video, what happened to George Floyd was a travesty, and nobody should ever think that they can be judge, jury, and executioner. I don't care what kind of rap sheet he had prior to that. That guy had no business doing what he did. I think everybody who has a heart and has any empathy whatsoever can feel for that man who died, George, and his family. It's awful what happened. I realized that this whole Black Lives Matter thing started with the Michael Brown case, which I'm honestly not even going to comment on because I'm sure you can guess how I would be commenting on it. And I think that this all started as probably a noble idea. However, it snowballed into something that's just not right. With this new millennial group, and I have 2 boys that are millennials, both of them, and I'm not throwing the black friend BS around. They're from a particular, we were living in a pretty good school system, so they had what's called the ABC house, which they have, less fortunate kids come in, black or Latino, whatever, and, they have a chance to go to a good school to get into a good college because they've made the grades and they deserve it. And everybody in the town were friends with these kids. Both of my sons, both of them had best friends that were black. Unfortunately, one of the poor kids had a lot of issues as far as going into the system and then being adopted, and his original mother did a lot of terrible things to him, so he is no longer with us. And my God, he was the cutest kid I've ever seen. The most beautiful smile, the biggest heart, and it kills me every day when I think about him. My other son's best friend, they still talk. Things are great between them. These millennials, they had no racism whatsoever. And once Obama got into office and he, so blatantly and stupidly, as he called it, decided to say some words about Boston police, that they acted stupidly without even knowing the full story of what went on. And that, I believe, is when this whole thing snowballed. Obama did nothing but talk crap about race when he was in office. He forgot, apparently, that he was half white, because that barely ever came up. So, you're not doing your cause any good by the way you're acting. Let me preface it this way. When my kids were little and they would jump around, jump off the couch, act ridiculous, throw stuff around, break stuff in the house, I would say, hey, you're acting like animals. Cut the crap. And I'm going to say that now. And don't take it the wrong way, because I don't mean it the way you people want to take it all the time. But you cannot go and loot and act like animals, because all you do is the people who do think there's something wrong with you, you just perpetuate the stereotype. And I don't understand why you want to do that. I mean, don't you want your sons and daughters to become something great? Doctors, lawyers, dentists, or not even a simple electrician, a plumber, or even a painter, as long as they take pride in their job and they work hard for their money and hopefully can open their own business one day. I don't understand. Like, why do you guys call them Uncle Toms whenever a black person does well for himself, like Ben Carson? I mean, you're out there calling him an Uncle Tom and all this other stuff. It's like, that is so degrading. That is so degrading. He's a man who actually did come from nothing, absolutely nothing. And he was a troubled child. I read his book, and he finally made the choice one day that he was not going to be like that anymore. And he worked his butt off, and he's a well-known surgeon now. So it's like, I just don't understand. I would think that you would want your people to do well. Why would you ever pick on somebody and call them names and say they're trying to act like whitey and all this stuff? And another thing, let me tell you, I do not appreciate anybody saying that white people should all be paying reparations. It's like, you know what? That was a long time ago. White people are not the only ones who had slaves. Native American people did too. And I'm Native American, so I can actually say that. And I'm not going to get into it, but I also am 2 part black on my ancestry report that came back. So I kind of know what I'm talking about. It's just, I don't understand. You complain about everything. You have affirmative action. So, I mean, you're gonna, if you score lower, and it's a fact, because there were 2 or 3, this was probably about 15 to 20 years ago now, 2 or 3 in the city of Boston, firefighters who scored like 95s, 97s, whatever, on the test. They didn't get the firefighter job that they were going after. Instead, they were replaced with minorities who scored in the 70s. That's a very important job, and I don't know about you, but I certainly wouldn't want somebody trying to save me from a fire that got a lower score by 15 to 20 points than another person. That certainly just would not fly with me. I wouldn't feel comfortable with it, and I should think other families, whether you're black, white, Hispanic, Asian, I would think that wouldn't fly with you either. Certainly, the best man should get the job, and whether you're black, white, Asian, Hispanic, that's where the job should go to after you take the test. I mean, I'm pretty sure you can take, most tests you can take multiple times, and then, once you get a good enough grade, you can get in. But, with affirmative action and with like the school grants that, you're capable of getting, there's really no excuse. There's just no excuse that I can see, whether you come from a poor family or not, or come from, the ghetto or not, whatever you want to call it. There's no excuse that I can see that you shouldn't be doing the very best that you can to raise a family, stay with your family. If you don't work out, that's fine, but at least be a part of your children's lives. And I'm not saying that just strictly to minorities, because there are a lot of white people that walk away from what they should be doing as well, just because they don't like the woman that they happen to get pregnant. It takes two to tango. So anyway, you really need to start wanting better for each other, because until this happens, it's just going to be the blame game. You guys are always going to say that you're the victims, and, feel free to take a trip to Africa and see if you actually think that, hey, wow, I feel kind of blessed that my ancestors went through this stuff and now I get to have a better life from it. See if you feel that way, or see if you still feel as though your ancestors shouldn't have been brought here to do work for others. And let me make this clear, totally against that as well. I think that's disgusting and despicable. However, the higher-ups and the African companies were absolutely selling them to the English people. And I'm mostly Irish, but I am the first one to say I don't care for the English people at all. They have wreaked havoc around the world. If you want to be mad at anybody, be mad at them, but don't include the whole entire white race in it. They did a number with the whole potato famine in Ireland, which was a bunch of BS. If anybody's read any books on it, no. It was actually them stealing their crops and then poisoning the rest. They kicked the Irish people out of their own homes, charged them phenomenal rent that they knew they couldn't pay, and the Irish were dying in the streets. And they'd just walk by them, step on top of them, stick them in the face with their bayonet, stick them in the eyeball, put them out of their misery because they were dying from hunger on the streets. There were 6 million Irish killed by the English, but we never hear about that. It's just the Holocaust and everything else, because Irish don't really complain that much. But anyway, I just got off the subject a little bit. But, as far as the finger pointing goes, it really needs to stop. It needs to stop because none of my ancestors owned any slaves. Absolutely not. I know my whole family history, and I know you won't believe this. It's a fact, which I'll get the paperwork within the next couple times that I come on to show it. I do have Southeastern Bantu and Nigerian. So, in my DNA with the paperwork that came back, which I was pretty shocked about, but not really, because I have a Native American great-great-great-grandmother, and I'm sure, a lot of you, if you know your history, somewhere or another, the two mixed. So, what I need to just finish this off with is that I really think you need to look into statistics and facts. Facts matter. A great movie for anybody to watch, no matter if you're a Democrat or a Republican, is called Hillary's America by Dinesh D'Souza. He actually goes into the African American Museum. He speaks to an African woman, a Black American woman, and she explains everything about slavery, about who did what, blah, blah, blah. She has proof there. There's actual proof, instead of people making stuff up all the time about how it really went down and all that, because what you're hearing is not the truth. And when people try to pull Lincoln's statues down and stuff, it makes me sick, because that man was a wonderful, wonderful human being. He didn't think, I forget the exact quote, but he made a quote when he was talking to one of the soldiers one day, basically saying, why should these black men work so I can eat? Obviously he was a great man, and I can't believe that people are defacing his statues. I think that is a travesty in itself. But yeah, it's called Hillary's America. And there was no such thing as the big flip. And you guys don't realize, Robert Byrd, in fact, Hillary Clinton spoke at his funeral. He was a huge KKK guy, and he was a lifelong Democrat and proud of it. Lincoln got killed by a Democrat. Rumor has it, it's because they were so mad that he was trying to abolish slavery. I mean, the Democrats have manipulated the blacks for years now, trying to keep them down, and they didn't do the right thing for them. I mean, first of all, whether you're black or whether you're white, if you get a job that doesn't pay that much, you would like maybe not to pay taxes, and maybe even to get a little bit more, because especially if you're a single mother or a family of, say, 3 or 4, a mom, a dad, a couple kids, and you're not making that much money because you didn't go to college or go to a trade school for whatever reasons, you can, oh God, I lost my train of thought. I'm so tired right now. It's like 5 a.m. and I haven't slept. I'm so tired. So, if you didn't do that, if you didn't do those things, like go to a trade school and stuff like that, I don't think you people realize that the earned income credit is actually a credit that you get on tax time. Say you work at Dunkin' Donuts or McDonald's or something like that, and you're trying to take care of your family, and you make under a certain amount, and you have certain mouths to feed. That was actually brought in by Ford, who was a Republican, and it was even expanded by Reagan, who was a Republican. Under those two administrations, they are the people who said, hey, these people, are working hard to feed the mouths they have in their house, and we don't feel that we should be taking any tax money from them. You know who fought them on that, though? All the Democrats. They thought if you were a single mother or even 2 people working at Dunkin' Donuts trying to take care of a kid or 2 or 3 or 4, they thought you should still pay your share of taxes, which I just think is ridiculous. I can't figure that out for the life of me. If you're working hard, you deserve a break. You deserve, and in a lot of cases of the earned income credit, you even get back more taxes than, say you claim 3 through the year. You even get back more taxes than that. You get back taxes for like 4 people. And that was completely, strictly, always Republicans doing that. Because they didn't want people to get stuck in the rut of welfare and not feeling good about oneself. That was the big thing with it. You feel much better about oneself when you can go to school, take advantage of, the programs they have for minorities. You get out, you get a good paying job, you're, maybe become a manager, whatever the case may be, and your self-esteem shoots up. And honestly, you don't want to go back on welfare or any of those. And I'm not saying it just to minorities. Believe me, there's a huge, amount of white people as well on welfare. But the thing is self-esteem, and you feel much better about yourself when you have a job and you get up every day and you work, and then you look forward to the weekends, and then at the end of the year you potentially can even get more money back than you paid in. So like I said, 2 Republicans are the ones that wanted that. And the Democrats did not want that for you. Only time the Democrats come looking for you guys is when it's time to vote. And other than that, they don't care about you. Look at what Trump is doing now. He thinks it's ridiculous. The things that the Clintons signed in, which have these poor black guys locked up and away from their families, and black women as well, away from their families for years for nonviolent drug crimes. I mean, I'm a libertarian, so I don't think the government should be up anybody's butt anyway for drugs. I think what you do to your own body is your own personal business, and I don't think anyone should be, talking about that to anybody. It's frankly none of the government's business. However, under the Clintons, that's when it really, really took off, and the incarceration amount of black men and minorities, Hispanics, whatever, under them just skyrocketed, and they were just so proud of that. And that's why Trump is trying to go through the cases, sort through the cases now, and see who can be let out of jail. Because like that poor woman, I forget her name right now, but the one Kim Kardashian, I mean, she hadn't even had a record, I don't believe, and she was spending either life or 20 years or something like that for a ridiculous drug offense that it wasn't even violent. So he saw that and he said, this is crazy. This woman's a grandmother. She's a black woman, a grandmother. She deserves to be home with her kids. And he's doing that with a lot of them. He's given more money to the Black College Fund than any other president has. If you go back and you look at some of the pictures he had before he even started thinking about being president, way back I'm talking, I mean, he used to give money all the time to black charities. In fact, he was with, I believe it was Rosa Parks and, oh God, what's the other one? The boxer there, Muhammad Ali. He's in a picture, and they were giving him an award thanking him for everything he's done financially for, the causes that were dear to their heart. So people really need to look into what's going on. You can't just keep listening to mainstream media. They are lying to you. They're lying through their teeth, and it's really sad. I just can't believe they get away with what they get away with. It's really quite disgusting to me. But you really need to look into the facts, and facts do matter. They matter, period. I mean, I can say whatever I want about somebody, it doesn't make it true. And it just like I was listening to something by, I believe it was Lil Wayne the other day, where he said when he shot himself at 12 years old, the cops barged into his house. They all the black cops ran and they were looking for the drugs. Where's the drugs? Where's the drugs? And a white cop came over and said, hey, there's a little baby on the floor. Like, little guy, he's 12. I'm sure he wasn't that much bigger than he is now. Or he wasn't that far from what he is now, I should say. He's like, you guys, what the hell are you doing? They're like, oh, we called the ambulance. And then the white cop picked him up and put him in his own damn car and drove him to the hospital. I mean, is that racism? Come on. And like he said, the millenniums, he looks out in the crowd, all he sees is white faces. Let me tell you something about a racist. A racist is not going to buy a black album, ever. They won't talk to you. They won't even look your way if they truly do not like black people. So throwing the word racist around is really insulting. And people who are not racist, because the majority of white people are not, although I kind of question it the other way around, because I've heard a lot of stuff said by Snoop Dogg and everything else, which he shouldn't even be talking because he's only 75% black or whatever. But, So, you know, it's just, I don't know. It just really, really pisses me off bad. And like I said, George Floyd, that never should have happened. But you do need to know that they do kick the crap. I know some of them. They will turn the camera away when a white guy is in a jail cell. If he's mouthing off or whatever, they'll go in, they'll turn the camera up to the ceiling, and 3 of them will kick the crap out of him. You know, and they don't care. They do it all the time. They do it almost on a regular basis. But they won't go near black people. They're petrified. Where I come from anyway, which is the East Coast. And so, I mean, I hear it all. I know exactly what they do. And it's the cops that aren't fair. It has nothing to do with racism. It's the cops that lie. They embellish reports to make it look better for them when they go to court. They'll catch somebody doing something on just like they just happen to catch them either being a bookie or selling drugs or whatever, and then they go in and say we've been watching them for 3 months. That's always a lie. So you can count on that. I've been told that personally. By somebody who was a close friend of mine. I know a lot of secrets about cops, and they're not nice people. They will lie about anybody. They really will. And half the time, I don't even suggest you read the report. Just let your lawyer read it, because you're just going to want to choke them in the courtroom. That's how much they lie. They're just liars in general. A lot of them are narcissists. Now, I'm not saying all, of course, and but believe me, don't take it personally, because they do it to white people more so than they do it to black. I can guarantee you that. 100% they do. So, you know, you really you need to look at the facts. And when I say, when they say, oh, well, more black people are arrested than whites and da-da-da-da-da, and then, you know, Al Sharpton or whoever says, no, I'm sorry, more black people are shot than white, and, you know, one of the leaders say, oh, well, you know, they shouldn't be, because compared to the black to white ratio, it proves that they're really shooting more blacks than they are whites. And that is not true. Where most of the crime is, it just happens to be in black neighborhoods like Chicago. I mean, everybody knows that. And I'm not necessarily saying that more blacks commit more crimes, but yeah, I mean, kinda. I mean, that's where it's all happening, you know. I know that whites, when they commit crimes, they can do heavy-duty crime, like serial killing and all that other crazy stuff. But serial killing's also gangbanging and shooting each other up in Chicago. Like, one weekend, over 100 people died just not even that long ago. I mean, and you always take innocent people with you. Like I said, which Black Lives Matter? Which ones? Now they come out with a damn militia who's saying, oh, we want Texas, and saying we were all in the Army or Marines or da-da-da-da-da. One guy doesn't even have a scope on his gun the right way. Come on, like, people aren't stupid. Stop with your we want Texas BS, okay? You're not getting Texas, and I can assure you, you don't want to go up in a gunfight against anyone in Texas, because they all have guns, and you will not win. So don't even start with that. Do things the right way. Take advantage of the programs that they have for you, pertaining to school, affirmative action, and all that other stuff. This is stuff that, you know, you act like white people get all this privilege and all this stuff, but we don't get all this free college, or, you know, we don't get picked because of the color of our skin. That's true racism. We're actually getting bumped aside because of the color of our skin. That, my dear, is racism. Not what you guys go through, because you have a lot more, you have a lot more opportunity than we do. I can assure you of that. But we all need to start a dialogue and just talk to one another. Stop fighting. Look up facts. Facts do matter in the end. They always do matter. Come on. And okay, well, that's it. I'm tired and I'm going to bed. Good night.